Hello, I hope all of you are doing well. If you are the owner of a 2015 Lincoln Navigator or a Ford Expedition, you may find this video very useful to you. 40,000 miles of my driving was trouble-free. I didn't have any issues whatsoever, and I was absolutely loving this vehicle. But just as I reached 78,000 miles, I started having some issues with the vehicle. It started to run rough, basically. So I took it in to my local Ford Lincoln dealership, and as I was having them change the oil, I asked them to run a diagnosis on it and just let me know if there was anything going on so that I could figure out what I could do to get the vehicle running smoothly again. Well, they come back and the service rep tells me that I'm having transmission trouble with the vehicle. He recommends that I flush the transmission and change the rear differential fluid as a precaution, and he says that this may straighten it out. Now, any of you who are watching this video, if you know anything about cars, you will know that that is total and complete BS. So I laughed a little bit and just told him to give me my keys back and to bring my truck around, because there was no way that I was going to flush the transmission or do any of that stuff. After all that, and I get my vehicle back, I decided to go over to my dad's house, and we decided it's time to give the vehicle a tune-up, so that's what we do. After the tune-up, which was just basically changing out the spark plugs, the vehicle was running even worse. So I knew that this was no longer a transmission problem. I knew that it was probably related to the ignition coils. So this right here is very hard to find. I call around, I call the dealership, they tell me they want just shy of $1,100 for these Motorcraft ignition coils, okay? I tell them no way, and the next thing I did is I went to AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts, O'Reilly, and I looked around, and O'Reilly was able to get me the best deal on this ignition coil. So after tax and everything, I was paying around $78 for one of these. But before I did that, I decided to buy a whole entire set, 6 ignition coils, because this is a V6 Ecoboost. Okay, so this is a 3.5 liter V6 Ecoboost engine in this 2015 Lincoln Navigator L. And I start out, while I'm waiting on those coils to arrive for $75, I go out and I purchase a Duralast ignition coil, and I put it in. And at first it seems like the car is running better, but then the same thing, I start having these issues. I get the check engine light and a service engine light. You do not want both of these at the same time. The car, basically what happens, your vehicle will lose power, and it's really bad to keep driving it because you have to really step on the accelerator. You pretty much have to put it to the floor to get it to go anywhere, which is just absolutely horrible for your car. I sort of knew this, but I didn't really realize how bad it really was. Also, the turbo, the supercharger starts to make noises and stuff when this happens. So none of this was good at all, and I couldn't seem to figure out the problem. Everything I did, I kept changing out coils and doing all this stuff, and nothing seemed to work. So for this video, I'm just going to show you the first part of this nightmare, this never-ending nightmare, which I think I'm about to solve. But I just want you to watch this video and hopefully learn something from it, and I will get back to you in the next video with hopefully a conclusion to let you know how things are going. Doesn't want to go. Yeah, it's not shifting properly. Okay, so I'm just going to go over the tools that you need for this job. Alright, so this is a little Craftsman set that I've had forever. I have another one that's much larger that I've had since the 90s. And this one here gets the job done. So as you can see, this is all you need. So you need this ground. So you'll need the spark plug socket. It's 5/8, okay? Probably you'll need this ratchet, okay? A quarter ratchet, 3/8, okay? So those are the ratchets you'll need. You will definitely need an extension. Longer than this one. I have one that's almost a foot long. It's in my toolbox, my other toolbox. Okay, so, and then you will need a 8mm socket. As you can see, I actually lost mine. It fell. It's the only thing I've dropped during this whole thing. So what I had to do was switch to a 5/16. Okay, so I had to use that instead, and that is for the bolt that goes in the ignition coil. This is for the spark plug, of course. You'll need this flathead screwdriver, and you'll need this. This is something that my friend Tiger made. He kind of rubbed that thing, sanded it down with the concrete, and you use that to kind of, I'll explain later, but this is all about the coil. So this is for the coil. And you will need rope. Not this long, probably only this much rope, okay? But you will need this, and I will explain later. When you are pulling out these coils, just put a rope right here around that, and then just pull straight up. Comes right out.
Where's what?
So you're just feeding in the last.
Yeah, that's the last plug.
I mean, on this side, yeah.
Come in.
You gotta take these 3 out. 1, 2, 3. So we're hoping that $50 worth of spark plugs will sort out this issue with the vehicle misfiring. If not, we'll have to move on to the ignition coils. Here are the spark plugs that came out. The SP534 has been discontinued for the SP580. And that's what these are here. So here is the coil, the ignition coil. My dad's already done the other side, and I'm working on the other 3. They've been very tough to get out. I'm working on the last one, but this is the first one. I keep them in order. I don't want them to get mixed up. So here it is. It looks pretty good. You just never know. But the spark plugs are the main thing. So I'm going to go on and pull the spark plugs out and show you what that's about using this type of, let me tell you which kind of socket this is. It's 5/8. So 5/8, I go in here, I lock it down, and counterclockwise it. You really want to be careful when you're putting them back in, because you don't want to cross thread. Because I had someone do that to me once. It wasn't good. So now I probably wouldn't have done this myself because I've just gotten really lazy. But my dad has been doing this kind of stuff for over 50 years now. So it's nothing to him to go in and do these jobs. And I think I have it right here. So there's the spark plug. Let me show it to you. Now these don't look as bad as the other ones. Is it focused? So, but it looks bad. Look at that. It doesn't look good. So I'm gonna go on and put the new one in. The gap's a little bit bigger than it should be. So I checked it with this gapping tool here. See this, the tip here? That's the worst one I've seen yet. All right, time for the moment of truth. Cranks up. So there you have it, new plugs at 78,971 miles. Basically 40 miles of driving that I've put on this vehicle. Here's one last look at the spark plugs in order of the way they were. If I want to be technical here, basically from the front of the car going straight back. These are the two firewall plugs. This is how they look. So that's it. The car seems to be running pretty smooth, but we got to get down the road and see what's going to happen here.